The Final Four is tonight. Yes, it is. Women's Final Four tips off tonight, 7 p.m. Texas, South Carolina, Part 4 at 7, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus. And at 9:30, Connecticut, UCLA, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way, women's basketball. Thank you for continuing to support this channel. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and follow. Like the video if you have not subscribed yet. Please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. I appreciate you. Let's get right on in on this. We have a part 4, Texas, South Carolina. Texas and South Carolina. What do you think about this game? I know what I think about this game. I think it's a game that I would rather not watch. South Carolina is a 4.5-point favorite, minus 215 money line to plus 180 for Texas. The South Carolina beat the brakes off of Texas 64-45 in the SEC championship. They split the regular season matchup. Both teams were 15-1 in conference until the SEC championship. 34-3 South Carolina, 35-3 Texas, both number 1 seeds. South Carolina is coming off of a win over Duke. Ugly, ugly game. Texas coming up with a win up TCU. Another ugly, ugly, ugly game. Ugly games, both of them. They're very, very similar. South Carolina is a better version of Texas. It's that simple. They're just a better version of Texas. For Texas to beat South Carolina, they got to hit some shots. Pardon my dog right there. I apologize. For Texas to beat South Carolina, they have got to hit some threes. They cannot get away with shooting 3 threes and win that game. It just won't happen. They have to hit some jump shots. That's what it will come down to. It's a simple scenario. Got to hit some jump shots. If they cannot hit any jump shots, they will get whipped. That's what happened in the SEC championship. They were brutal. They shot under 30%. They hit 1 3. And while South Carolina didn't hit a whole bunch, they only hit 3. That was 2 more than Texas hit. And a lot of turnovers, but Texas stunk. Texas needs to hit some jumpers. When they beat South Carolina, they hit. There went my argument. They hit no threes. At least like in a minute mid-video, I stand by what I said. They need to hit some threes. That was a home game. They out-rebounded them. South Carolina didn't play very, very well. But man, oh man, I still believe it. They got to hit some threes. If they don't hit threes, they have no chance. That game in the SEC championship was bad. I hope y'all got a giggle out of my. I had not looked, so I just presume they hit a few jump shots, and they did shoot better. Obviously, they did shoot the ball better. They shot under 30% in the SEC championship. They shot 44% in that game that they won over South Carolina. In their first game, I'm doing this all blind. That's how I roll. They lost 67-50, and they shot 28%. They hit 1 3, and South Carolina shot 51%. They've got to be efficient around the basket. Madison Booker in that game was 3 of 19. I'd look to see how many times they run that out of bounds play from the end line to see if South Carolina can adjust, will cover it, unlike not the way that TCU did. This game just is not blowing me away. I know what I'm going to get. I know I'm going to get a football game amongst women on a basketball court, played largely inside the 3-point circle, heavy mid-range. But I genuinely believe that for Texas to have a chance to win, they're going to have to hit 5 threes. If they don't hit 5 threes, they lose the game. That's my prediction. If they don't hit 5 threes, they lose the game. And I'm going to predict that they're not going to hit 5 threes. I got South Carolina win this game in the 50s, probably something like 55 to 45, 55, 48, 59, 50, something like that. I think South Carolina will cover the spread, but this game does not excite me. And I don't think it excites really anybody who's not from South Carolina or Texas. I would have been happy to see TCU play Texas to play South Carolina again. I would have been more interested in that. Although who the hell knows? But yeah, my argument the hell. Too funny. Connecticut, UCLA. By the way, I like South Carolina. Connecticut, UCLA. This game has a lot more about game plan, coaching, and what these two teams do to slow down the Stars. Lauren Betts, can she dominate the post? Can she control the game from the post? From her control of the game in the post, will UCLA have open looks from 3? Will they decide to crash down on Lauren Betts and leave wide open shooters, like was the case with LSU versus UCLA? UConn is not a big team. They're not a big team. Lauren Betts will make chop. What does Shaq call it? Whatever he calls it. What does he call that? Chicken something, whatever. I forgot. Doesn't matter. Will he make them? Will Lauren Betts dominate the paint? I think she'll make chicken, whatever you call it, out of Janet El Alfie. I think UConn has to run. They have to push tempo, push pace. I look for UCLA to guard Paige Becker similar to how they guarded Juju Watkins, doubling her, making someone else win the game. There's no way Paige Beckers goes for 30 in this game. I just can't see it. I cannot see Paige Becker. If Paige Beckers goes for 30, UConn wins. I do not see her going for 30. I look at UConn. I look at UCLA putting double teams on Paige all game, pick and roll, crash double. I would highly recommend that my recommendation to freaking UConn would be to not run a pick and roll with whoever is guarding Lauren Betts, whoever Lauren Betts is guarding. If Lauren Betts is guarding the person running the pick and roll with Paige Beckers will be getting trapped by Lauren Betts. And I don't expect them to put London Jones on Paige Beckers. I expect a bigger guard to be on Paige Beckers. I think you're going to see a lot of Gabriela Jaquez on Paige Beckers. Jaquez had a big game against LSU. She's going to have another good game, hit a couple shots from the perimeter, make Paige guard her as well. Dugalich is going to be big. Gardner is going to be big. She needs to hit a couple threes off the bench. But at the end of the day, this comes down to Lauren Betts dominating the paint. If Lauren Betts dominates the paint, UCLA wins the game. The fact that UCLA is a minus 8.5 point underdog, is a plus 8.5 in this game, is crazy. How can the number 1 seed in the tournament be a plus 8.5? I don't even understand how they're the under. I don't even understand how people look at them as the underdog. They're the number 1 overall seed. The number 1 overall seed. UConn initially had what I thought was the hardest road to get to a championship. Them or USC, whoever came out. And then UConn got the blessing of the easiest first round game, probably in the entire tournament. Yet it's a 15 seed. Then they get the 10 seed, not the 7. So they get an underdog that they beat by 40, a team that Texas had beaten by 40. Then they get Oklahoma, and they were losing at halftime, but they ended up winning blowout style. Paige went bananas in the 4th. And then they get USC crippled. A crippled USC. Has UConn been playing better? Yeah, but they didn't have this. It wasn't an arduous task to get past USC. They should have won that game by more. Now, this love affair that UConn's having now late in the season is wild to me. I know they blew out South Carolina, and people are looking at that and saying, "Oh, that's why." I do think the winner of this game wins the championship. But I don't see how you can all of a sudden discount everything that UCLA's done and say, "Oh, what, like what?" All of a sudden, what they've done all year is insignificant, irrelevant. They were named the number one overall seed. They were the number one team in the country for a good chunk of the season, including going into the tournament. And now they're this massive dog to where people think they have no chance to win. It's just mind-blowing to me. The most dominant player in college basketball is Lauren Betts. It's nobody else. She's the most difficult cover. If Lauren Betts does Lauren Betts things, UCLA is going to win this game handily. If UCLA shoots the ball decently from the perimeter, mind you, remember, Kiki Rice didn't play very well against LSU. She missed a bunch of bunnies around the basket. But if you get some, and remember, Lauren Betts barely played in the first half of that game. She had 2 fouls. She sat the entirety of the second quarter. She didn't play. And they still had the lead going into halftime. Do I think LSU is the same as UConn? I think they're similar. I don't think there's anything massively different between those two teams. Athletic, up and down. UCLA is very, very, very tough. Very tough. I'm not going to sit here and play that 6 degrees or 7 degrees of separation or whatever it is, but Notre Dame beat UConn. UConn beat South Carolina. South Carolina crushed Texas Christian, TCU. TCU beat Notre Dame twice. It just shows you that there's so much parity in women's basketball. Southern Cal beat UConn. You think I care about the fact that UConn beat USC without Juju Watkins? Had they done that with Juju Watkins, I'd be far more impressed. And UCLA beat Southern Cal. UCLA is number one seed overall for a reason. And I know they also lost to USC twice. I get it. I understand. If you cannot stop Lauren Betts, you are going to lose. I do not foresee a game plan where Gino Auriemma allows Lauren Betts to obliterate them inside and just guards the three-point line. That would be utterly ridiculous. So I expect him to dare UCLA to win the game from the perimeter. Problem is, Lauren Betts is still 6'7", and she's still going to end up with 17 to 20 points because she gets fouled on every play, every time she touches the ball. And I expect UCLA to double Paige all game. They're not going to let Paige go for 30 or 40. They're not going to let Paige explode. Sarah Strong has to play the best game of her life. She might do it. But the person who has to really, really show up this time, who was missing for 3 quarters against USC, is Azzi Fudd. Azzi Fudd has got to show up in a big way because she's going to have a lot of open shots, in my opinion. That said, I think UCLA is going to win this game. I think Lauren Betts is going to dominate. I think Gardner's going to hit some threes. I think Dugalich will hit some threes. I think Hawkins will hit some threes. And UCLA is going to come away with the win and go on to face South Carolina in the national championship. You let me know your thoughts. I'm sure many of you disagree, but I've been picking UCLA all year. I'm not backing off my pick right now. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is Rudy's Rant, her game, her way, women's basketball. Come on now.